Hi everyone, it's Cheryl from ideasforcardmaking.net and I'm here today for Couture Creations, and I'm going to be making a masculine card using the new Gentleman's Emporium 6x6 set. I'll just do a quick flick through for you. Some really lovely papers in here. I've pulled a couple out and I'll show you those in a minute. They're actually quite thick, these sheets, which is great. Some really nice papers, really masculine. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be using some bits and pieces, a few bits and pieces. These are the sheets I've pulled out from the Gentleman's Emporium book. Okay, I'm using these plainer sides because they suit my purpose. This one I'm going to be putting this happy birthday hot foil stamp on the front, and I've actually got that warming up in the Go Press and Foil machine. And then I'm going to be using these Modern Essentials brackets. So I'm just trying to find the two I'm using. I'll be using these two. And these are called nesting bracket frames. They're cut foil and embossed dies, and they're from the Modern Essentials collection. I'm also going to be using this driftwood foil, which I think matches, out of all the foils that I've got, it probably matches the best. I'm hoping that'll show up fine. I think it will. And it's got some little bits of that kind of colour in the background there. And this one as well, so I think that'll work well. I'm going to be using a flap, so I'll actually go ahead and do it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is my base. It's a black base. It's going to be opening that way. I've got some little bits here I've pulled out from the Gentleman's Emporium die cut ephemera set. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to be using this one, but I know I'm definitely, that's the man cut out. This one I'm definitely going to be using, Cherish Every Moment, and you'll see as we go along how that works. Okay, so my Go Press and Foil machine is ready, so I'll pull that out. I've got the happy birthday warming up. I'm going to be going this way. I wanted that part down the bottom because I don't want all that other stuff, so I'm putting it in this way. And I've already sort of measured. I just put a little mark there because of where I want the placement of that hot foil stamp, because of the way this flap's going to work. So you'll see in a minute what I mean. So I'll just, oops, that just moved then. I'll just close that. It doesn't want to work. Hang on. Let me just, before I do anything else, it's just a tad too high. So let me just chop that edge off there. This is the new Couture Creations mini guillotine. So I just want to cut the edge off there. Oops, I moved that then. Stop that again, sorry. Okay, it's just a tiny bit too high at the top of the machine, so I'll just try that again. Oops, sorry, I just hit my lamp then. So we're going that way. I'm putting it just here. That's better. That's going to close now. Right, probably should have put a shim in there. I better do that. Put that shim in. Excuse me. Yeah, I'll just put that back to warm up again because I've had that out for a little bit. What I'll do now, while we're waiting for that, is I'll cut this paper. This is the piece that I'm going to be using on the base. Excuse me, I'm still trying to get over that flu. My voice is just driving me crazy at the moment. Okay, so I'll just get my paper here. Just the way. I'm going to need that again in a minute. Okay, so I just want a tiny border, not much. So I'll just mark that on this side. I'll cut that. I'm not one of those people who does a lot of measuring, so it's all pretty much by eye for me. I know a lot of people don't like that, but that's really how I work. Okay, so on this side, I'm just going to put a little mark there. And I'll just chop that. And that should be pretty much right there. So I wanted this border here to be showing. Okay, so that's upside down. Let me have a look. I better do it that way. Okay, so that means I was going to put the flap that side. So I obviously didn't look at that properly. So I now put the flap on this side. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Now I'm not going to be putting that down yet. Yeah, that looks fine actually. I'm not gluing that down yet because I need to be able to put the flap in underneath here to hold it. So it's, you can do it so that the flat part's showing there, but I don't want to do that on this. I want it to be underneath. Okay, so let's go back to, I'll put that aside and we'll go back to the happy birthday. I'm just going to put that through my die cutting. Here's just a few, while we're waiting, there's just a few other bits and pieces from the Gentleman's Emporium collection. That's the Vintage Key acrylic stamp. This one's called the Crank Start, which is a car, an old-fashioned car. This is the Gentleman's Timepiece, and that's the Vintage Bike. And this one is a cut foil and embossed die. That's the pocket watch. Okay, I think this is ready now. I'll put this through the die cutting machine. Hopefully this has come out alright. Oh, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I'm really happy with that. So I'll take that off there because I've finished with that. I don't know if you saw that. There's the foiling there. So I'll take this off. Now I'm going to have to put on my adapter plate. That's going to go on first. And the second largest size that I had, so this one, is what I'm going to put on there. Now that's all going to have to warm up. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to have another sheet. Sorry, this one's going to go on top there. So this one's going to get, I'm going to cut that one out like that. Alright, so that's going to be part of the flap. So while that's heating up, I'll just put that back. Oops, I'll just put that one back. And the Go Press and Foil machine to warm up properly. I'll also be cutting out one of these on black cardstock because that's not, that even though this paper is quite thick, because it'll get lifted up and down a bit, it's just not going to be strong enough to do that for several times. So I'm just going to back it with that as well. So what was I going to do next? I'm going to, I have to have this ready. So once that's warmed up, we can work, I have to try and work out where I want this to go. Get some foil. Where's the foil? There's my foil. Get that ready. It's not going to be quite as big as that, so I'll be alright with that. Cut that off ready. Now if you're not familiar with the Modern Essentials cut foil and embossed dies, what they actually do is they're going to foil along the edge and cut out at the same time. So it's all done in one foul sweep. You don't have to keep going back and you foil and then you cut and all of that. It's all done together. Right, that's ready. Let's heat it up. I've got the green light there. So we'll put this on here. Tricky bit now. I'm not going to worry about that little bit there that's not covered. So if you make sure you can see all of that. I'm not worried about that bit that's not covered because that's going to be tucked in underneath, so it really, really doesn't matter. This is the part that's going to be the tricky bit. It's because I need to get that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just put this on here. Try and get an idea of where I want it. Put that on there like that. I'm just going to put a little mark on the adapter. I don't know if you can see that, but I know where it is. As straight as I can. Hopefully I'll get this where I need it. Alright, get that on there. Now I generally find that I don't need a shim with these cut foil and emboss dies because we've got this thick adapter plate, so it should cut straight through without an issue. So we'll put that through and we'll just see. I also don't need to put these through twice, as they generally, I consider going up, down, up, down. I usually only go once because they usually cut through okay on the first go through. So I'll just take the foil off. Ah, there we go. That's perfect. Now there is a little bit of excess there, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this new creative detailer and just get a little bit of that off. You can see already it's coming off. Can you see that? It's just put a little fine fine cover there, so that's going to get it off. I probably won't do it all now because it'll take me a little while to do it. But I just wanted to show you, and I'll finish it off later because it'll take too long. See how that's removing that excess foil? Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to do this one and foil this and cut that out with the cut foil and emboss. Now that's got a bit of colour there, but in this instance I'm not worried about that because that's going to go on there. So I'll put all of that out of the way. I've just flicked my Go Press and Foil machine onto standby because I don't need it heated at the moment. So now what I'm going to do, I did want to point out to you the borders, by the way. Look how beautifully that's edged there. So I'm going to be putting that on there. That's going to go on here. And it's going to go like that. So what I need to do now, I'll glue that on. If I was going to be using this bottom piece as to be showing, I'd get rid of all that foil, but I'm not worried about it at the moment. So I'll just put that on there. Alright, so that's there. I've got a glue eraser here. I'll just get rid of that little bit of glue there. You've just got to be really careful when you use these that it doesn't lift up your foil as well. Okay, that's got it. Now, I have to work out where I want this to go. So, just put that in place. I think that's actually plenty far down. I don't want to make it too big. Grab my pencil again. I'll just mark that there. Don't know if you can see that. I'll just put a little bit there. It's not going to be seen. Now I'm going to get out my scoreboard. And this is the new Couture Creations scoreboard. On the back you've got the envelope guide, which we'll do that another day. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm just putting this on the scoreboard. There's the mark that I made. So I'll just make it, just in between those, I'll just mark it there. Alright, so just make sure that you get it so that it's going to come back through, or all the way through, because you've got double thickness. And then we might just, let me just see where that's going to end up. Yeah, I think that's okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to make another one. And I think we might just make that just slightly above that, because we really need a bit of fold there. Just so that it sits flat, we need the two lots of fold. Okay, so I'm going to fold the first bit. Now this will be a bit stiff because it's double layer, so just keep that in mind. Don't worry about that cracking just there, that's not a problem. And then fold the next one. And use your bone folder. Do that on both of them to burnish it and make sure it's nice and flat. Do that one again. The double thickness can be a bit of a problem. Okay. Alright, I'll put that away. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you, this is how it's going to sit. Okay. Just have it sit like that. Just so that there's a little bit of extra space there, just so that it doesn't, because if you have it, you can have it like that, but it doesn't always sit really well. But having that little tiny extra, which is about 1/8 of an inch, it just makes a big difference to the way it sits. Now what I'm going to do, if I put that on there, I'm going to have all of that over there. So you can chop some of that off, which is what I'm going to do, just so that it sits a little bit better. You don't have to do this, but I just find it a little bit easier, that's all. Don't cut too much off, because you've got to be able to glue it down. Alright, so next, just put that on there, using that part there. Alright. Make sure you've got your paper butted up against that top line. Glue it down. Just make sure you've got plenty of glue on there. Turn it over and make sure you're still happy with the placement. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now I'll put that onto here. And a little bit just broken off there, that's okay. I'm not worried about that at all. So I'm just going to put some glue on here. Make sure I've got my card the right way. Put that onto there. Push that down, make sure that's all done. Now one thing you do need to be careful of is, see how that glue squirted out there? Just make sure that you get that off, because when you close it, it's going to glue that flap down, and we don't want that. That's the last thing we want. So get all that excess glue off. Okay. Alright. So that's your card on your card base. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in here. Just want to put that in there. Try and get it centered. So I'll just put a little light mark with the pencil, just so I can see. No, that needs to come over just a little bit more, and we'll rub that out in a minute. I'll put a bit of glue on that. I think that's about the centre now. Yep. Do that. Oh, I've got a pencil rubber here somewhere. There we go. Just get those light marks off. Okay. And that's our card done. We just have to put something in the centre so that it can be written on. That's it. And if you don't like the way that comes up, you can bend it down a little bit and it'll sit. Or the other thing you can do is get some, I always have some stick-on Velcro in my stash, so you could put a little bit there and a little bit there and hold it down if that's what you would like. I will go back to getting rid of the rest of this excess foil. I'm not going to do it all on the video, but I just want to show you how easy that is to use and how well it comes off. Just be careful not to take your foil off as well. Okay, and that's it. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this and you learned a new technique. This is actually the same thing that you do in the mini albums if you're making flaps in there. Okay, thanks for your time. See you next time. Bye.